So, this morning, there are several things I wanted to say, before we talk about worship. My clock, I guess, I don't know if it was when the time changed, but the clock in my office is fast, which can be a good thing.
Yeah.
But it also can be a bad thing, because I see it says 9, and I go, oh, well, I have time. And you don't have that much time, so anyway. Okay, so I have said this, and it's on my weekly letter, but it's about this voting event on the 24th. It's gonna be in this room, and it is nonpartisan. We have asked representatives from Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians to come. It's supposed to be that, if they wanna come and have a table. But we're really focused on LGBTQ plus issues. And so there'll be a table like where you could write letters about laws that have affected the LGBTQ plus community. And there'll be Joel Burns is gonna be our speaker. Some of you know his name. Joel was the first openly LGBTQ plus person who was on the city council. He was my council person. And so he's gonna speak very short. And then they're gonna have changes in laws that we need to know about. It's easy, and I hear people say this, and I feel this too, it's easy to say, this is a very fearful time, and I'm really afraid. And I get that, but this voting is what we can do. There's a lot of things we can't do, but we can do this. And we can encourage other people to vote as well. As I say a lot of times from the pulpit, you can have your convictions, you can vote how you want, on which party you want, but know who you're voting for, know what they stand for. And, just because it says so in the paper, we gotta, anyway. So I think this is a very important event, and it's from 9:30 to 11:45 a.m. So it's just barely a little more than 2 hours. So come and participate. You can register online. And,
what day is it?
I'm sorry.
What day is it?
It's February 24th. It's a Saturday. Yeah. And because we do have a limit of size, we can only put so many people in this room. So we do have a limit, and this is sponsored by the Justice Network, of which we're a part, and Tarrant County Votes, which is another group. And so we're both sponsoring this, and there'll be others of these before it's time to vote. There'll be others in different places. Like, for instance, one of the people in our Justice Network is it's a Jewish congregation, and so of course they can't come on Saturday because they have things at their church, at their synagogue. So, but there will be one on Sunday afternoon, so that they would be available. They could come. So we're going to try to make it available to as many people as possible. So invite someone that and bring them with you. This morning, Barb just told us that Deb's mom is in the hospital, and many of you know we've been praying for them, and because she was moved to a facility, and now she's broken her pelvis, so she's in the hospital, and she's 90.
She'll be 95 the end of this month.
95 almost. So this is just another difficulty when you already are living in, anyway. So we want to pray for their whole family. Yes.
What was the date again?
February 24th.
Okay.
Is Saturday.
You had a lot of people sign up for it.
We meet every week, and week before last, I think we already had 25 people signed up for it, which is good. And so we're hoping, how a lot of people don't sign up till the end anyway, till closer to the end. But so we're real encouraged, and we want younger people to come as well, because that's a real big voting block at the college age. And I've heard that, I won't get into all that, but my grandson's just started college, and he's 18, and I said, so you got your voter? He said, oh yes, I'm ready.
next Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, you're supposed to be there and give out a whole bunch, tell people to go register to vote and all that.
Do what now? They're asking people to come do that? No.
Taylor Swift's gonna be.
Oh,
they
I'm
said-
supposed to.
Yeah, okay, you get the joke now?
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know if she's Joe Biden or I'm Joe Biden.
Okay. The rumor is that she's really gonna push the young people. to
Yeah,
register.
and I hope she does, so, but no, I
Yeah,
saw
but I-
that he was just one, post away, she was just one post away from being Joe Biden, actually being Joe Biden. So I could be, so, hey, there you go. But yes, I have heard about that she was gonna do that, so, and I think that's good to get people to vote, you know, use your fame to get people to vote, you know, so, and I don't think she's telling them how to vote, she's telling them to vote.
Encourage them.
Yeah,
Encourage them.
encouraging, yeah.
She's not telling them, she's just.
Yeah, and you know, we are one of the lowest, and I don't remember now if he said it's Tarrant County or if it's Texas in general, but in terms of voter turnout,
Mhm.
how many people actually go vote? Tarrant County's real low, I
Real
think,
low.
on that, is that people don't vote.
People have given up, is what.
I'm sure that's true for some, and then some are just, you know, I don't know, but,
You
and
know,
we've
like,
made
why
it
does
more
bother?
difficult.
You know, why
Right.
bother? My vote
I
doesn't
was-
count.
I was
That's-
part of, I went to Wise County, within Wise County, and I went to one of the meetings, and it's like they hide, and they're afraid of like, you know, the other supporters of, you know,
Right.
Mr. Man, Mr. Trump, but they're, yeah, they're hiding, they don't wanna do anything, I said, let's do an event, let's do this, and they don't wanna do it, because they're like, it's not worth it. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
well, we should.
Yeah, could
Like,
be.
You know, you're not, so I think they're just, you know, a lot of them are scared to vote. They're scared to say what their party is because they don't wanna be retaliated against because it's
Yeah.
so crazy. So that's what's the problem.
Yeah, and that, like I was saying, it has become more difficult to vote. You know, the laws that have been passed have made it more difficult for certain populations to vote, and, which is too bad. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, the beauty of voting is that nobody knows what your vote is.
Right.
That's
You
right.
can say you voted first,
Right.
but
Right.
no, that's not what you check the box where nobody knows. So if you are scared, at least, I mean, nobody's gonna know ultimately who
It's,
you
you know,
voted for.
some of these small towns like Wise County is very, you know, they control everything.
Yeah,
And so they're, you know, you go vote, everyone's looking at you, like, they're a small group, so
well,
we go,
and especially in the primary, because you're gonna be going to a certain,
yeah.
you're not gonna be going to.
Right. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, and it is interesting, and it's most unfortunate because, you know, I think that's one of the bedrocks of our country, that everybody had a vote, and they could vote like they wanted to, you know, the freedom to vote, and, so I think that's sad, Diane.
In our house, we've gotten, with the organization that we're doing, they're not enforcing, but they're encouraging to register to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah.
vote. Cause a lot of these seniors, they don't give a darn.
Yeah. Well, and, there are, you know, you've gotta have it's a designated voter registrar to actually, like, I can put out cards, anybody can put cards out for you to vote, you know, to sign up. But a person that sits and signs you up has to go be trained. So that, I think they're called DVR, Designated Voter Registrar. And, so there will be some, on that day, there'll be some here that can do that too. But, anybody can pick up a card and sign it. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you about my cup today. I have a different cup every week, so today is my California cup. And, I have quite a few reasons for liking the California cup. The first time I lived in California, I was 5 years old. And what I was gonna say is they're getting the, what do they call them, atmospheric rivers, so they're
Yeah.
getting more
That's
rain.
weird.
And this is what happened last year when we were there. I mean, it rained almost every day, every week, and, which is good, they need the rain, but too much at one time can be problematic, so.
Can you believe it's been a year since you?
I
I
can't
know.
believe-
I can't.
Yeah.
I look at that and I go, that, we were there in January.
Really?
So it's just hard to believe. Anyway, but, so they are, having some flooding and that kind of thing, and, so we can pray for them. And, if you've never been there, it's a lovely state and has a lot to see, so that's my California Cup for the day. It's got all these things on the back.
Part of California.
Well, I've lived in Northern and Southern California. Northern California near San Francisco, across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco.
And we moved from San Diego in 2014.
Oh, you
San
did?
Diego, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you from there?
No, I'm from Colorado, he's from East Texas, but we met in San Diego years ago. And
Oh.
We moved from San Diego.
It's really
over here.
pretty.
Yeah,
We-
it's changed with everything, but I love it.
And
Yeah.
your family lives where?
My family lives my daughter and her family live about 30 miles east of LA in Claremont, California.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I lived in Valencia, so I lived in LA also, lived in
Okay.
Santa Clarita, so I lived there,
Okay,
but traveled throughout the whole western.
yeah,
But yeah, it's beautiful.
it is beautiful.
Santa
It's-
Barbara, we moved to Santa Barbara.
And the north is very different from the south.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are some things that are similar, but I think the north is just exquisite.
I got married in South Lake Tahoe.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a pretty nice place to get married. And, yeah, so we enjoyed living there. But anyway, so that's the cup. So I want to talk to you about, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. I want to talk to you about what the sermon's about today. And usually we talk about the scripture that we talk about in worship, but here we can share about it and speak out loud. I do want to say that the taking up of having people sign what they, fill out about things they thought would make us more hospitable was a really great success. I mean, we got a stack of them and great ideas. And just like you all gave great ideas, the gathering and the board. So I feel good about that. I think we've gotten some good things to move on and to do. So, today's sermon is from the first chapter of Mark. And if you remember, or let me ask you, what do you remember about the book of Mark? One of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. What do you remember about, or do you remember?
No.
Anybody? Anybody?
Give us a clue.
No clue. Okay, I'll give you a clue. So, huh?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. It's small. It's, I think, the smallest one. You could sit down and just read the whole book in no time. And Mark does everything quickly. So if you read the book of Mark, it's Jesus went here and then quickly went to the da-da-da. And then he, hey Sandra, how are you this morning? Good to see you. Come on in. Sandra came to our new member class last week, so we're glad that she's here this morning. So anyway, if you read it, you'll notice that. Just go one chapter and just circle everything that is indicates quickly. So he's got Jesus on the run. Jesus is here, and then he's here, and then he's here. And this is one of the. So the verses are 21 through 29, I think. And so Jesus has already been baptized. He's already called the disciples. And now he goes to the synagogue for the first Sunday to teach and to read the scripture and teach. Now, it's not unusual, it wouldn't have been unusual for a visiting teacher or rabbi to be asked to come up and read the scripture and to say something about it. But the thing that Mark tells us is the people were astonished because he spoke with such authority. And one of the things that means is that often if someone was trained in, like a scribe who's trained in the law and all the what the Bible said, it would have been I guess it would just been the 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. But anyway, anybody ever been to a Jewish service, like at a synagogue or temple? I'm always a little bit, I don't know, I need to ask my Jewish friends because I don't know exactly what they call, I don't think they say synagogue anymore, and temple, I don't know that they say that.
That's all I ever heard of.
Me
synagogue.
too, but, so I'm gonna ask her, cause she, yeah, I'm gonna ask her and see what we're supposed, congregation, I know, is one thing that you can say. So, he goes to the one in Capernaum, and, Capernaum will become kind of his home base in Galilee, that's around the Sea of Galilee. And he's gonna do a lot of preaching and teaching around that Sea of Galilee area. And so, that will be his home base, so they'll go out and they'll preach and teach and they'll come back to Capernaum and they'll stay there. It's a very lovely town, it's a seaside town, so you won't be surprised to know that a lot of people there are in the fishing industry.
You are correct, it's congregation, because my father-in-law belonged to Congregation Sherry Torah.
Yeah, so I think we're supposed to say congregation, so anyway. But back then it was a synagogue, and he went to the synagogue. And so one of the things this means when they say he spoke with such authority is often when a special person came to, or even one of the people at that synagogue, so they would stand and they would read a verse and they'd say, as Rabbi Hillel said, who's Rabbi Hillel, had studied those scriptures, this is what this means. But Jesus didn't do that. Jesus read the scripture and then he said, I say, da-da-da-da-da. And so when they heard this, that was surprising. I mean, it was like, whoa, who is this person? And they didn't all know him and know who he was, and so they were very, very, very interested. The other thing that happened in this service that was kind of interesting is this man, and the way Mark describes it, a man with an unclean spirit in him, stands. And Mark says the Spirit spoke. And the Spirit says, you are Jesus, the Holy One of God, or something like that. And then Jesus commands the spirit to come out of the man, and it does. And it says he kind of had like a seizure, and the spirit came out of him. And now, Mark doesn't linger there. Mark doesn't tell us what that means. Mark doesn't say, here's what that was. And so you can just imagine that through all these years, there have been a lot of people that had a lot of ideas about what this was. Some people think it's mental illness, and some people think it's, when I was reading about this, I was thinking about, we lived in the Washington DC area in 89 and 90. And during that time, and I don't know if this is, when did the book The Exorcist come out in the movie?
It was early, 80s.
It was in the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because I was trying to think to myself, is it around that time? But there was a very big interest in exorcisms. And so people would come to the church actually and say, I think I have an evil spirit or whatever, and I want you to pray for me, bless me. And really they were talking about an exorcism. And I had a friend that was on staff at a church in Maryland in the Washington DC area. And she said that this guy came to their pastor and said, I want you to exorcise. I have this demon in me and I want to be exorcised. And she said, and this is somebody that I would have complete confidence in. I mean, I don't think she would tell me something that wasn't true. And so the senior pastor asked her if she would like to sit in on this. And so she did. And she said it was really weird that there were a lot of things that happened that were very strange in the room. And she said, I just was like, what? And she said, I know, but it was very strange. And so, do we believe that there are powers that are, I think there's sometimes we can believe that. We can see a person that seems to let their life be governed by things that are, I don't know. But anyway, so Mark doesn't linger there, and I'm not gonna linger there a long time in the sermon, but to say that we all know that we have things in our lives that kind of bind us up, that try to control us. It's not an evil spirit necessarily, it's, you know, it could be something like fear, or anger, or worried about the election. I mean, you know, there are things that can just bind us up so that we hardly.
Math.
Yeah, math. Holly's taking a math.
Oh, no.
But that is right. And what happens is, one of the people that I read talked about demons, or that anything that tries to tell us who we are besides God. I think that's a good definition. So if we're defined by the kind of car we drive, or the job we have, or the whatever, that's like a demon telling us we're something other than what God's telling us that we are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know, and I think that's probably is about as good a definition as we can come to, because we don't know exactly what this demon was. And, but the thing the people knew was Jesus said, come out of him, and it did, and it obeyed. So, I think the people in the room were convinced that Jesus had some power, and beyond just the regular people. All right, questions? Tell me if you've ever heard in the scriptures, and if you've been in church, I know you've heard a scripture that says somebody had a demon or an evil spirit or that kind of thing. What did you think that meant? You know, when you heard about it, what came to your mind about what that, or has somebody wise told you what it was?
I thought it was like a devil.
Okay.
Like the devil was in them.
The devil's in them.
Yeah.
Beat the devil
Stay
out.
away from them.
Beat the devil out.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, yes, John?
What comes to mind is thou shalt not have any other gods before me.
Okay,
And we're putting, I'll put it out there myself, alcohol.
okay.
Was a problem at one time.
Mhm.
It took precedence over other things.
You took control of your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And finally, I came to the conclusion of, I called that God,
Yeah.
help me, I cannot live this way.
Yeah, yeah. So
And he left.
you
I
asked
have to
God
say,
to
it
call it,
left.
you asked God to call it out, and
Yes.
God did, okay. All right. Yeah, and most of us have encountered some things in our lives that we knew we couldn't do on our own. You know, we just couldn't do it on our own. Okay, somebody else, idea about what this evil spirit could have been, or this demon. And you know, we've got to remember that when we look at scripture, you ask some questions. What did it mean then? What does it mean now? What can it mean now? I know, is it time, or were you gonna say?
No, I was
Okay.
raising my hand.
Do you wanna say something?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I think oftentimes when we read these scriptures and it talks about calling out a demon or someone is acting in a particular way, as you were referencing, in that time, mental health
Mhm.
was, you know, everything was attributed to, you must be possessed.
That's
You
right.
must have evil upon you, or what have you. I mean, even in other parts of scripture, when a woman has profuse bleeding,
Yeah,
you know, it's always about, well, this has happened to you because
right.
you're not worthy, or these kind of things. So they just didn't have the mindset that we do today. And unfortunately, even with the knowledge we have today, we still sometimes say, well, that's happened to you because you're not good.
Yeah.
You know, which,
Yeah, people do get told. And, or if your parents weren't good. Back then, if your parents weren't good, you could be, you know, had a
Generational.
demon, and it'd be visited on your household. And, yeah, I think that's exactly right. And, we know more, but we still don't know it all. And we don't know exactly, but we do know there are indeed things that are like demons that can take hold of us and take over our lives. And so I think we can apply it to today very easily. So it's not some far-fetched thing, you know, we can realize there are implications. Yes, Julie?
I have bipolar,
Uh-huh,
and so if I were in those days, and I didn't have medicine, it would definitely personally.
Yeah, Julia, that's a great example. I have
It's
a
not
friend,
something that just popped up now. They think I had it when I was 6.
Yeah.
And so why couldn't they have had that
yeah.
issue, long time ago?
Sure, absolutely, I'm sure they did. And I have a friend who's bipolar, and I try to help her a lot, and she can call me, and she can call me and we have a conversation and everything's fine. And 15 minutes later, if she's not on her meds, she can call me and it's like she's yelling and screaming and I'm like, because it's like this if you're not on your meds, right?
So, yeah, for me, I'm super happy.
Ah, okay.
So I kind of level with my medicines. I stay on my meds. When I found out I was pregnant, I knew immediately I needed to, or when I knew after my child was born, that was it. That I needed to stay on meds and level. But it can still get off kilter.
Yeah.
And I just get super happy and confident and everything is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think she does great when she's on her meds. And isn't it wonderful that we have medicine that can now?
I wish my husband would get because he's bipolar and he's unmedicated.
That's
So
one of those problems we can't make somebody else do.
You can't make him do it.
Yeah, that's right.
I married him in sickness and health.
Yeah. And Karen is now rising, so I know that means it's time for me to go. So anyway, we're very glad you all came, and we hope you come back. And I'm going to give everybody an assignment for next Sunday. Bring somebody. It can be somebody from church. You don't have to bring a stranger. Bring somebody with you to the pastor's cut, and come and have coffee, and let's talk about the scriptures. So anyway, I will see you in worship, I hope.
Carmen's in, help her.
Oh, she is?
She's seeing her son.
Oh, okay.
So
She doing okay?
What did you do?
The red one.
trying to get